Hi, this is the second in a series of videos that demonstrate some hands-on DevOps techniques in the Visual Studio Team Services environment. At this point, you should already have a .NET Core project configured with VSTS using Git as a source code repository. The goal of this video is to create an automated build that runs a test and is triggered on each commit to the repository. So to start out, we'll be on our test.NET Core project. Now, you can go to Setup Build here, but in case you don't have that, I'll just show you how to navigate to the Builds section. So we can see we have no build definitions. So we'll start out by clicking New Definition, and we'll leave these at the default, VSTS Git, and we'll use the branch, master branch as the default. We're going to use ASP.NET Core. Now we'll keep the default name of the build, and we'll choose an agent queue. Now an agent is just installable software that runs one build or deployment job at a time. If your build and deployment definitions are in Visual Studio Team Services, you can just use the hosted agent. And because we're using Visual Studio 2017, we'll keep hosted VS 2017 as the option. Private queues are also an option, but those are maintained by you or your team, whereas hosted queues are maintained by the VSTS service. Now notice that there's a test project. This will be important later on when we create a test inside a project that matches this pattern. So we'll keep those options, and we'll go into triggers. Click on Enable Continuous Integration, which just means every time someone commits to the repository, this build will run. The batch changes while a build is in progress. Now that means all committed changes that occur while a build is in progress will be batched together, and they'll result in one additional build after this, instead of individual builds for every commit. That's only for changes that occur while a build's in progress. So we'll go ahead and check that. Now, I wanted to go back to the tasks and quickly go over each of these, the default tasks that are created with the default build definition. Now, all of these correspond to actual .NET CLI commands, and these are all out of the box, which you can remove, but I would recommend leaving them as default. A restore restores the dependencies and tools of a project. Build is pretty straightforward. It builds your project and all of its dependencies. Test uses the Visual Studio test driver to execute any of your unit tests. Publish simply packs the application and all of its dependencies to prepare them for deployment. It doesn't actually deploy them yet. And publish publishes your artifact to the store of your choosing, which in this case it's just a Visual Studio Team Services store. Or you can use a file share, but for now we'll just use VSTS. Now notice that there's no release or deployment that actually occurs. This is just packaging and publishing to a central repository. Now what we're going to do is create a unit test project, add a test, an automated test, and commit it, and watch the automated build run the test. So first we'll create a test project. Make sure it's a .NET Core unit test project. Include .tests somewhere in the folder name or in the project name. We'll create a simple test that's guaranteed to pass, just so we can demonstrate the automatically triggered build. Save that. Now we should be able to commit. Commit it, and then we'll sync with our remote server. So heading back to our build definition, we should see that it's automatically triggered a build. Let's go ahead and look at the details. Because it's a hosted queue, we have to wait for an available agent. That usually doesn't take too long and is pretty convenient. So there you go. And once the entire build is finished, we can go and click on some of these and just take a quick look at some of the details. You can see that the tests passed, all the tests passed, the one test passed. And you can even see some of the details of the other, the exact log specific details of each of these tasks. And there you have it. Now you can see how easy it is to create a quick build definition using mostly default values to trigger a continuous integration build that's triggered on every commit to the repository.